For those of you who know, I am running the tech and hosting, so we always know how that goes. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad all of you are here today. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Daily Antidote of Song. As we are celebrating day, Carolyn, a little lower, 981. 981 days in the Daily Antidote of Song. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for bringing that to us. And maybe also we've got Christiana over there somewhere with a sign. I want to thank everybody out there on Facebook Live for joining us today. We are here, for anybody who doesn't know or who's finding us for the first time in 981 days, we are here every day at noon Eastern singing one song with somebody, some song leader from around the world. And we've got folks in the room from around the world. And we'd love it if you start joining us every day here in the Daily. This program is free. Run by Carpe Diem Arts. Let's give it up for Carpe Diem Arts for all they do to make this go. And I'm going to say hi to everybody also in the room. I'm super excited today to be hosting Joe Jenks as our song leader, not from his traditional locations. So thank you so much, Joe, for being here. And
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yay! And I also want to say hello to Jim Harkless coming in from Maryland, who I got to see yesterday performing in the Christmas Revels. That was such a treat. Yay! Welcome, Jim. Hi to Carolyn, who's coming in from snowy Boise, and thank you again for reminding us of what day it is today. Mabel and the Bear in Massachusetts, good to see you. And Kevin in DC with the golden flute and a warm and cozy hat. Hi to Gary with all the solutions in Massachusetts. Dory, nice to see you today. Maybe without Ollie coming in from Rhode Island. Hello to Deborah in Kentucky, Kathy in Virginia, to Sue Sean in Massachusetts. Hello to Arlene in California, Aloysius in Mass, Bronwyn in Victoria, nice to see you today. Hello to Jim in New York City, and to Susan G in Ohio. Hi, Becky in Vancouver. Hello to Hoda in British Columbia, nice to see that beautiful smile. Steve and Michelle, or at least the Steve half today, nice to see you. And Sheila in Florida, hello, nice to see you. Kim in New Hampshire, glad you joined us today. Kim Wallach, who has sung with us in the room and I believe is going to sing with us again in January. Bob, nice to see you again today, coming in from Albany. And Bonnie in Boise, Idaho. Ralph in Victoria with Penny, maybe pouring his morning tea. Hello to the Curly Tops coming in from Vermont, or at least 1.5. Yeah, there he is. Willard with the clown nose and Leanna. Nice to see you guys. Amanda and Miles in Michigan. Nice to see both of you. Hello to Annette in California. Luda in Victoria, without Mark, but still reminding us to pass that love on. Hello to Ruth in Birmingham, UK. Great to see you. I need a breath in the middle. Sorry. Hello to Storm in Massachusetts, who has something that he's holding up. We're going to have to highlight that later because I can't quite tell. It looks like a bird, maybe a birdie. Oh, it's a little cardinal, I think. So beautiful. Thank you, Storm. Jane in Texas, hello, nice to see you. Christiana and Bob in Maryland, or at least the Christiana half, and there is the 981-day sign also. Hi, Bob, nice to see both of you coming in from Rockville, Maryland. Susan in Tacoma Park, one of my neighbors, great to see you. Tim in Philly with Tim's other person in Philly, whose name I need to learn. Hello, Tim's other person in Philly. Hi, Ann in Maryland, great to see you. Kate in Charlottesville, nice to have you. Susan in Seattle, hello. Bob and another bear on another screen. Sometimes he and Mabel do this. They show up separately and then they merge midway. Can't wait to see if that happens. Linda in Orcas Island, hello, nice to have you with us today. Glad you've joined. And Bob in Tucson, great to have you. Glad you're here. Hello to Fred in Silver Spring, Nancy's Irish Cow without the cow in Washington State, Kathy in Denver, hello. And some folks off video, Cricket in Maryland, and I think Bronwyn in Victoria, Barbara, and Dick and Kathy in Victoria, also probably in their PJs eating their cereal. Lynn in Connecticut, Jenny in Suffolk, Sandy in Western North Carolina. I think I got everybody. I'm going to take a deep breath. Whew. I'm so excited to have everybody here today. We are at 981. Well, I'm not even going to try the math. Never mind. We're like something like 19 days away from day 1,000, our 1,000th day of being in this program. That means the folks in this room have been meeting for 1,000 days, starting in the pandemic. And well, here we are still in the pandemic or whatever this is, moving right along, not letting anything that's going on stop us from singing and thinking and figuring out ways to try and make the world a better place. So I want to give it up to the Daily Antidote. You guys want to help me?
Woo!
Thank you, Joe Jenks. So Joe Jenks is coming in from a non-traditional location. Joe, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, and tell us where you're coming in from.
I'm joining you today from Buchanan, Michigan. I'm here on my way back to Illinois from my last live concert tour of the year, and very pleased to be headed into a time of lighting candles on a daily basis in my house, we light candles for all the traditions. So I honor Advent and solstice and Hanukkah, and it's just a good time for light in the darkness. And there are many forms of light that we lean into. But for me, I'm really looking forward to being off the road and back home so that I can light candles every day and let them burn for several hours. I usually light 3 candles, and I set them on the stone slab in front of the fireplace. And one is for the past, from which I need to be a student, from which I need to learn, but it's also in recognition that I can't change anything that has come before me. And then I light 1 candle for the future because while I can't truly predict or control the future, I can prepare myself for what may come. I can do my best. And in the 3rd candle, I light for the present moment, because this is the place in which I have agency. This is the time. This is the moment in which I can do something. It is from this point that I can take the lessons of the past and prepare myself for what may come, while still being completely grounded in the moment. So whether you honor Kwanzaa, whether you honor solstice or Advent or Hanukkah or other holidays that celebrate light in the darkness, I encourage you to light candles in whatever way you're able, to put up happy lights, to do all the things that remind us that there is so much to be hopeful about, even in this crazy world.
Wow, Joe, thank you so much. That's so beautiful. You haven't even started singing yet, and you've already done the like Joe Jenks Zen washover of my entire soul. So I am just already in bliss. Thank you so much. I was thinking we sometimes call this, the University of Daily Antidote, and I need to come up with a different name for when you're here, because it's much more like, I don't know, the Church of Joe Jenks, although that it wouldn't quite be the right thing. But you kind of, I hope, get what I'm saying. Thank you. Beautiful. We are ready for you and your song. Can you tell us what you're bringing us?
This is a song I wrote specifically in honor of the solstice. It's called Longest Night of the Year. And we'll just run through the chorus a few times, and then I'll sing the song. The chorus is, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. On the longest night of the year. I'll break that down. So somewhere in the shadows we find faith. So somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. That is bold enough to chase away our fears. On the longest night of the year. On the longest night of the year. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. On the longest night of the year. Standing in the dark, we light a candle as we hold on to the hope that things will change. That love will lead the way back into the light. The heart of winter is upon us. The chill wind touches every bone. Frost grows on the glass as daylight gives into the night. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. On the longest night of the year. There are days that we remember when the
sun shone brightly in the sky, and all the world was new. And storm clouds passed us by, but summer turns into the winter, through autumn's colors as they fall, as we strain to remember the sound of the songbirds' call. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears on the longest night of the year. The promise of spring still lives within us, even when it seems so far away. So we hold hands and walk together, not knowing where the path will lead, as we dare to hold out hope in our time of need. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night of the year.
One more time, somewhere in the shadows.
Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night, on the longest night, on the longest night of the year.
Wow. Joe, I don't know, is that the third time or the second time you've brought that song to us? And I just cannot stop singing that song enough. What a perfect December song. What a perfect song. Thank you, Joe Jenks. Can we please show Joe Jenks? Yeah, Joe, what do you have to say about that song? Tell us a little bit about where it came from.
I was working with a Unitarian Universalist minister on a service, tag teaming on a solstice service, and she wanted a solstice specific song. And after many searches to find the right tune that wasn't a Yule song, that wasn't a Advent song, that it wasn't a Hanukkah song, wasn't like that was specifically solstice, I finally said, would it be okay with you if I just write one? I think that would be faster. And so I did. And it turns out that my soul needed very deeply to hear what that song had to say, that the muse was speaking to me through the music. And so that song was a gift, and I freely give it to all who wish to sing or learn it, enjoy it. I'm so glad that it lives in your hearts as well. And I'm so glad to be with you in this season. You are one of the great shining lights, the daily antidote of song, 981 days through the most insane parts of the pandemic into this sort of, slow roll on the backside of the pandemic. Yeah, the quasi-demic, whatever we're in right now. But
Thank you.
you are light in the darkness every day at noon Eastern time for so many people, and I'm so glad to be here with you.
Can we be your fourth candle?
Sure,
Yay.
absolutely.
So I'm curious, how many people in the room have something candles or lights or something in the holiday season as part of their tradition? I know that I do. I'm going to see some hands. Oh yeah, okay. So that's a pretty good majority of folks who are doing something with light. Yeah, I actually ended up just by luck with my mom on the first day of Advent this year, and I haven't. It's not a tradition I've carried on, although I can't understand why, because one of my favorite songs is that "O Come, Emmanuel," and it was just so beautiful to be there again and be repeating a tradition from my childhood. And it made me want to come home and make an Advent wreath and do that here. Because it really, there is something about the pause and the lighting and then the light continuing as the candle is burning that is, I think, super fulfilling. So, and here we are in, approaching the longest night of the year. So
yeah,
perfect.
I've already got a couple of Zoom Hanukkah dates with friends. And we will gather and light candles and hang out and have a good conversation and just honor the evening. My friend Bruce Marco, who I met through the People's Music Network about 20 years ago, invited me into his place in Brooklyn, in a little apartment that he had. And he just shared with me what Hanukkah was about to him and what it meant to gather. And it was delightful for me to see that holiday through the lens of his experience and why it mattered to him. And it was so about community. It was not about religion. It was not about politics. It was not about anything other than being together in community. And so very much you are my fourth candle. You are, this community is a beautiful light, and truly, by whatever traditions you honor, turning toward the light, do honor those traditions. The world needs it right now, and the world needs you to be doing the things that bring you joy and bring light into your life, because then you have that much more capacity to give that light to others. So
thank you, Joe. So I put in an application for the Daily Antidote to be Joe's fourth candle, and I'm proud to say it was accepted. So thank you so much, Joe. We're
so
super
moved.
happy.
There being no
That's
discussion. The motion carries.
I love it. So I know that you have a concert coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about it? I'm going to stick a link in the chat.
I do. On Sunday, December 18th, this next coming Sunday, I will be giving my annual holiday concert broadcast from my home studio on a midwinter's night, and a lot of songs of the season, songs that are about light in the darkness, not a Christmas concert per se, but a midwinter's concert. That'll be on YouTube. It is free. You just click the link and watch the show. If you want to make donations, great. If not, my gift to you, and I'm happy to give you that music. So please feel free to share that with friends, with family, with anybody you think might enjoy dialing into the concert and listening and singing along from wherever you happen to be. It has been an extraordinary year. I've given almost 160 performances, almost 150 of them in person for live audiences. It's really been great. I released a new album this year called The Coming of the Years. And I'm running a couple of little holiday specials on the website on joejanks.com. You can pop over there and check that out. But you are among the communities that most helped me move through the chaos and back into productivity, and just helped me focus my energy in a beautiful way. So thank you for that. And that concert, for those who aren't looking at the chat, will be at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can adjust for your time zone, whatever other time zones you're in. Again, on Sunday, December 18th in the evening.
Beautiful. Thank you, Joe. So, Joe, before we before we opened the doors, you and I were tossing around what another song is that you might add, and I think we'd gotten up to two, and I suspect that we could keep, adding more and more and more songs that we could possibly sing in this holiday season. Do you sing a second song?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your hearts be bright. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all may be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
Thank you, Joe.
Absolutely, my pleasure. My pleasure. One of my favorite songs. I learned that from John Denver and the Muppets Christmas album when I was about 8 years old. I was so excited. I wanted to grow up to be a folk singer who could play a concert with the Muppets. And I was so sad that that stopped being an option, really, not in the way that I knew it. But I remember the first time I played the Troy Music Hall in Troy, New York, which is one of these old school theaters with all the theater boxes up there and everything. And I kept looking up with slight paranoia, expecting to see Statler and Waldorf up in the boxes going, that frog can't sing,
Oh, that's so great. I am that album meant a lot to me too. When I was little, were there a lot of folks in the room that were listening to the Muppets Christmas album? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can tell by our age range, I think. Everybody who's waving is like kind of the same age as you and me, Joe. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling? What's your heart singing?
I'm expressing my OCD by tuning. Here's a Boxing Day song.
Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen, though the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even. Brightly shone the moon that night, though the frost was cruel, when a poor man came in sight, gathering winter fuel. Hither, page, come stand by me, whither thou knowest it's telling. Yonder peasant, who is he? Where and what his dwelling? Sire, he lives a good league hence, underneath the mountain, up against the forest fence, by St. Agnes fountain. Bring me bread and bring me wine, bring me pine logs hither. Thou and I would see him dine, when we bear them thither. Page and monarch, forth they went together, through the rude wind's wild lament and the bitter weather. The night grows darker now, and the wind grows stronger. Fails my heart, I know not how I can go much longer. Mark my footsteps, my good page, tread now in them boldly. You shall find the winter's rage freeze thy blood less coldly. In his master's steps he trod, where the snow lay dinted. Deep was in the very sod which the saint had printed. Therefore everyone be sure, wealth or rank possessing, you who now would bless the poor, shall yourselves find blessing.
So Joe Jenks doing a carol swap with himself. Joe, I am loving every minute of this. Let's just keep going. It's Joe Jenks, who's great at self-hosting and great at self-carol swapping. I couldn't be happier than to have just sung 3 songs with you. And I'm wondering what you might have planned for either saying and or singing us out of the room today.
I'd love to cycle back to the first song that we sang together. The longest night of the year. And I'm just so grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the hope that you have given me in the last 3 years of my life. I'm grateful for the encouragement, for the emails, off thread, and the letters. Some of you were fond of actually sending snail mail letters. Bless you for that. What a treat to receive an actual piece of mail from time to time. You have brought hope to me through this darkness that we've all been through. You have brought encouragement and enthusiasm, and you have done it for tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of people over the last 3 years. And that's a beautiful thing. Anytime we can remember that no matter what's going on in the world, anytime we can remember that there is more to be hopeful about than to be pessimistic about, that's a great thing. And when we gather to sing together, we begin to breathe in unison, even from thousands of miles apart. We begin to respirate simultaneously in a very particular way that I think is just a little bit magical. I think when they finally come to understand what quantum physics are about and subparticle physics, when they really understand string theory and, the interconnectedness of the universe, somewhere down the road, it may be a couple thousand years yet, but somebody will discover that people singing together simultaneously, even at a geographic distance, brings us into community and in communion with each other in a very unique way, that it's not magical thinking, it's actually a physical principle within the universe, that when we put our hearts and our minds and our voices together, that something magical happens. Somewhere in the shadows.
And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night of the year.
One more time, somewhere in the shadows.
Yes, somewhere. Chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night, on the longest night, on the longest night of the year.
There you go. Thank you so much. I'll see some of you on December 18th at 7 p.m. Central Time on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Daily Antidote of Song, Carpe Diem Arts, Joe Rossi, and all of you that have had a hand in keeping this wonderful program happening for the last 981 days. Yay!
Woo! All right, everybody, thank Joe Jenks by doing the candlelight flicker here. Let's all be his little candlelight here. Come on, yay! Look at that,
Sounds
Joe.
like a
That's,
dance, the candlelight flicker.
you can do the candlelight flicker. It's awesome. I think we should write that actually. All right, we're going to choreograph that for our next meeting. So yeah, you actually got it right. It is hundreds of thousands of people who've tuned into the Daily Antidote since we started. And really, truth be told, as things have gotten busy, I've stopped counting, but I can't help but think we got to be like kind of approach 300,000 at this point, because we were like well in the 200,000s quite some time ago. So Yahoo and amazingness, right? And Joe, thank you for all you have brought to this community, musically, personally, and just with your entire way of being in your Zen mode. Thanks for bringing everything that you've brought here. We've all been really beautifully impacted by it.
Thank you. Thank you. Mutual expression of gratitude and uplift here. And this really does happen as a result of community. Community begets community if it's done well. And this is a testimony to that.
Thank you. I loved when you said, that thousands of years from now, they might actually understand this, because I got this little mental image of some little archivist, like watching little Daily Antidote tapes a couple thousand years from now, trying to figure out like what was happening chemically in the world as we were all singing at that moment. So yeah, we're influencing the flowers and the trees and the rocks and everything while we sing. So love it, love it, love it. 1,000 days, 1,000 years.
Yeah. Bernice Johnson Regan from Sweet Honey in the Rock talked many times over the arc of her career about, probably still does, about the notion that a song in community is not sung, it is raised up. And that when we breathe together, we build a bond with each other. And it's part of why many meditation practices involve breathing together and chanting together. And we think it's about the chant, we think it's about the words, but maybe it's about the fact that the chant forces us to breathe together. Maybe it's about the fact that the song forces us, invites us is a better word, to breathe together, to respirate, to bring spirit in and release, and bring spirit in and release. So thank you for doing that in such a beautiful way. Yay, Daily Antidote of Song.
Thank you, Joe Jenks. Let's transition that into a breath before we say goodbye to everybody, please. Get it to go all the way down to your toes. Oh, what a lovely thing to sing, to be, and to breathe with all of you today. Thank you again to Joe Jenks for a magical, magical journey today. Thank you to everybody on Facebook Live for joining us. Just a quick note on our day 1000 celebration on December 31, New Year's Eve. We are going to be hosting 3 separate gatherings across the day. Times are still being tweaked a little. There will be folks in my house, musicians that you know and love here, singing to you at these 3 different parties. And I'm inviting everyone out there to join us virtually for this amazing celebration of 1,000 days. I think it's going to be a beautiful day. I think you guys will enjoy being virtually at our party here and celebrating with us. And I also want to say that in the week leading up to our 1,000th day, we're going to have an open mic night. We're going to have card writing parties. We have a community sing on December 21. All of that info will be in the comments on Facebook Live and eventually in the chat here whenever I get around to putting that in, because my tech skills definitely were challenged today. But I want to thank everybody for joining us at all of those too. I know lots of you will, and I can't wait to see you all at those things. Help us celebrate over the course of the rest of this month and into the new year. So thanks everybody again. A big goodbye to everybody out there on Facebook Live. A goodbye and a thank you again to Joe Jenks. Thank you so much for being here. Happy travels home, and we can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. And thanks, of course, to Jim Harkless for being here. I am going to throw out an absolute plug to Revels. Last night, I met for the first time Tamara, who is the new executive director at Washington Revels, and I will say it was an instant friendship, and I'm super excited to work with Tamara in the upcoming years on more combinations of Revels and the Daily Antidote and Carpe Diem coming together. Jim was fabulous last night, and for anybody who's local, you got to do it. For anybody who's not local, they are eventually going to be putting out a live stream. There's info on it on the Revels website, so please check that out. Bye to Carolyn in snowy Boise, Bob and Mabel and the Bears in Massachusetts, who are now on the same screen, please note. Kevin in DC, thank you. Deborah in Kentucky, thank you. Kathy in Virginia, thank you. Also going to be at Revels next week. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to make it to the show you are at. Thank you to Arlene in Berkeley. At is not a way to end a sentence, but you know what I mean. Hoping to make it at which the show you are therefore whom going to be at then, because sorry. Okay. Jim in New York City, thank you so much for being here. And I think I said Arlene in Berkeley. Susan in Ohio, thank you so much. Becky, thank you for being here. Hoda in British Columbia, thank you. Steve and Michelle in Silver Spring, Maryland, Sheila in Florida, Bob in Albany, Bonnie in Idaho, Ralph and Penny in Victoria, goodbye and goodbye, Amanda, Miles, and Frog. Wait, it's Kermit. They brought out the singing Muppet Kermit just for Joe Jenks. Wait, Joe, I have to highlight them just really quickly so that you can see. Ta-da! There's your Muppet. Ta-da! Beautiful. Love it. Thank you, gang. I miss Kermit. All right, I am going to try to go back to the gallery here. Here we are. All right, thank you so much for Annette in California, and to Luda in Victoria, British Columbia, Christian and Bob in Rockville, Susan in Tacoma Park, Maryland, Anne in Maryland, Susan in Seattle, Fred in Silver Spring. Hope your DC Labor Chorus concert went well yesterday. I was really sorry that my Revels conflicted with it. Nancy's Irish Cow, Washington State, Aloysius in Massachusetts, Martha in Oregon. Nancy, lovely to have you here. I think Massachusetts, but I don't remember. And Jamie in Victoria, thank you. And Dory and May, Ali in Rhode Island, there she is. And, or he, thank you to Diane in Puerto Rico. Glad you made it in with us today. Gary and Christy on the same screen in Massachusetts, beautiful. Storm in Massachusetts, thank you. And I think you were holding a candle at some point, and now a bird. Yeah, look, Storm is equipped for today's songs. Thank you very much, Storm. Sue, thank you so much for being here from Massachusetts. Kat in Vermont, thank you. And for the Christmas lights. And the Curly Tops 1, 2, and 3 now. We've got Willard with Nose, Liana in the middle, and Alice May over there. Glad you guys all joined. Busy Graham, Diamants, everybody. Do, 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 do. Yeah, that's usually reserved for the Bears, that song, but we're going to do for Busy today. Do, 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 do. Linda in Orcas Island, we're so glad you made it in today. Looks beautiful where you are today. Caroline in DC, glad to see you. Jane in Texas, thanks for being here. Cricket in Maryland, nice to have you. Dick and Kathy in Victoria, so glad you guys were here and can't wait to sing with you soon. Lynn in Connecticut, thank you. Jenny in Suffolk, UK, whose screen cover is a beautiful looking snowy-like scene in England, and it looks gorgeous. Sandy in Western North Carolina, also giving us a beautiful snowy scene. And Amos, hi Amos in Massachusetts, nice to see you. Jean in Pittsburgh, glad you made it in today. Think I got everybody. I'm going to wave goodbye again to Facebook Live. Thanks, gang, for joining us, and hope you can join us another day. Joe, anything else, or are you over and out? Bye, Joe. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye, Facebook.